All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our breakout session regarding construction. My name is Darren Rogers, and I work at the Utah Department of Workforce Services and Workforce. I just want to go quickly through the sponsors of today's event: Weber State University, Utah Career Center, Associated General Contractors of Utah, UPHCA, and then we have our other partner sponsors, which is Charter Apprenticeships, HICAP, which is Healthcare Career Apprenti, UMA, Apprenticeships USA, Center for Apprenticeships and Work-Based Learning, Advanced Evidence, Improving Lives, UTAP, and Utah System of Higher Education, and of course the Utah Department of Workforce Services. Also, just to point out, there is this handout. This will identify workforce development specialists across the state. I am one of those for up in the Weber, Morgan County area. So you're welcome to reach out to me if you live in that area. With that said, let's get here started why we're here. I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's event.
We're still there.
We're here.
I just wanted to let you know before we went away.
That's your job to keep me in line.
You're in trouble.
I think you're in trouble. Okay, I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's breakout session. That's Joey Gilbert, and he's with Associated General Contractors of Utah, and he will introduce our panelists. So Joey, take it away.
Well, first of all, thanks for being here. I'm telling you, this will be the most exciting session you'll be in all day. Hope I don't under-deliver on that. Anyways, thanks for being here. Certainly appreciate it. As Darren said, my name's Joey Gilbert. I'm Vice President of the Associated General Contractors. Maybe just to give you a little bit of background about the association, to give you a little bit more perspective. So we are a statewide trade association. We represent the commercial construction industry. We have just over 650 member companies, and we represent all sectors of the industry, from building, highway, utility infrastructure, and then heavy industrial construction as well. If you were to break our membership down into demographics, about 98% of all the highway construction you see going on is built by an AGC member. Of the large, I'd say, vertical construction that you see in the Skyline projects being built around the state, I'd say about 85% of those are built by an AGC member. So that gives you a little bit of perspective of the folks that we represent throughout the state, the great contractors. Today we have a couple of our apprentices within our program that work for our member companies, as well as one of our contractors. And I'll just introduce them briefly, and I'll let them tell you a little bit about themselves as well for context. So first, I'll start with Ty Starr. Ty is one of our apprentices. Works for a huge general contractor and worked for Ty. What's that?
Hogan.
Oh, sorry, Hogan. Jeez, I did not say that. Can we get there on the bit?
Hey, we'll just plug everyone.
Yeah, all right, no, perfect. Anyways, I'll let Ty just tell you a little bit more about him. How long have you been in the program?
So I've been in the program, let's see, so I started the apprenticeship 2 years ago. I just got done in April. So, and it's helped out a lot. I didn't know what I was going to do out of high school, so I just started working construction like most men do, straight out of high school. And I was just working for the summer. And then I went to the Weber State Construction Fair, and I met Jared Morgan there with Hogan. And he was like, if you want to come work construction in the commercial industry, let me know. And I was like, okay. So I did. And I went out there, and I was just a laborer for a while. And I wanted to be like the other guys, be like the carpenters, building everything, not just throwing out the trash and everything. So I had talked to Jared, and he had mentioned something about the AGC and going through the carpenter apprenticeship program. And he told me some of the benefits that I would contribute going through that. And I was like, that sounds good, let's do it. So I went to the apprenticeship program for 2 years, and throughout the program, I had incremental pay raises, and it did help a lot because it wanted me to work forward and get the next raise and learn a lot more. And it's a lot of hands-on. I'm not an in-class learner. I learn with my hands, so that did help a lot. But the AGC is a good place. I would recommend it.
Hey, show me your right hand. Just raise your right hand.
Oh yeah, this was not construction related. Don't think this was part of the AGC. I was trained by the AGC, not how to ride my dirt bike. But I'm still learning how to ride my dirt bike. But I can swing a hammer better than I did when I was green 2 years ago. So how's it worked out?
He just said he was an on-hands learner. I just wanted to show you his skills in motorcycle riding, but anyways.
Yeah, well,
He's
you live
learning
and
the
you
hard
learn.
way. That's right. The next one, Rachel Babcock. She works for Big D Construction. Rachel, maybe just give a little bit of introduction to you.
Yeah, I started at the AGC December. Next month will be 2 years. At the beginning, I was working for Hogan Construction. As Ty said, got introduced to it by Jared Morgan. He's the one that gave all the good grades about how, you'll get all the learning experiences you need, take it all out to the construction field, put all your experience you're learning, and each quarterly you get raises like every 3 months. They go and give you like a evaluation.
Yeah.
And so now I work for Big D, and they gave me a quite a bit big raise. Sorry, I'm nervous.
Yeah, so was I. I failed to mention because I wasn't prepared for this either. But what you learn at the AGC is not like, I mean, you can learn a lot in school, and it just goes in one ear and out the other. But at the AGC, you can apply everything you learn to out in the field, and it just makes your job a whole lot easier.
Yeah, especially when you're brand new to construction. I was brand new. Went to Hogan my first days, and then within like 3 months, I got enrolled into the AGC. So I was like brand new. So everything I was learning in the AGC, all good information for me, and I was able to take it out to the field.
If you use it, it helps out. Like, I've been with Hogan for 4 years now, and I remember being the green guy, but now I'm the next lead guy. So if you go to the apprenticeship program and learn it and apply it and use it, they're gonna notice, and they'll let you know, and they'll start training you to be the lead. We'll help out for sure.
Next, I'll introduce on Bob Bushell is the HR director for Ralph L. Wadsworth Construction. Bob, maybe just a little bit of introduction to you.
So, as he said, Bob Bushell, spell it bus and then hell. So, been with Wadsworth, Ralph Wadsworth since February of 01, or 21, sorry. I've been in HR for 22 years. 10 years of that, I was a dual role as an HR director and a safety director. So that was fun. Wadsworth Construction, we do roads, bridges, parking structures, water tanks, some infrastructure work. Been in business since 1975. Wads Bros and Ralph L. Wadsworth are not the same company. So if you want to cuss out the folks down in Farmington, cuss out Wads Bros. But no, it's interesting. We always want to chew out the construction workers when they tear up our highways, but we sure like it when they're done. So, yeah, glad to be here.
Perfect. Well, thank you. We have Harvey Hansen maybe joining us a little later. Harvey Hansen was with K.O.H. mechanical contractor out Salt Lake. Does a lot of large hospitals, schools, that type of work as well. So hopefully he'll be able to join us shortly. I guess maybe just to start out, I love construction. I love the technology that's evolved around construction. And maybe a question before we even get started to the group. As they're inventing new technologies and building materials, anybody have an idea of what the lightest structure can be built in construction, building-wise? Maybe the lightest building. Thoughts?
Give us the clue.
I'll just tell you, it's a lighthouse. Good call. Hey, you know, my wife would love me that I did that. She sends bad dad jokes every single time. So if you don't take anything from that, just know the lighthouse is the lightest building you build. But maybe let's maybe to get started, let's start with Bob. Just from an employer's perspective, what got you involved in apprenticeship programs? What kind of led you that direction from an employer perspective?
Well, originally I was voluntold.
Yeah.
No, I jest a little bit. So our company has been involved in it for years and years, and probably the biggest reason is to develop our current staff, meaning our craft folks. You hire a laborer who may be green to the industry or has a little bit of experience as a helper on construction sites, but that individual wants to become carpenter or wants to become a finisher or something in the skilled trades. And let's be honest, it's tough to find time and just to separate out that time to train those folks on the job site. It's really difficult. And so this program with the AGC, this apprenticeship program, provides us with an opportunity to send them somewhere where we know they're going to get valuable training. And it's, bang for the buck. It's bar none the best that we can come up with. The other part of that is it's a retention tool. I mean, we send them to the agency and they go through this training and they grow and develop. They go into a new role and they start feeling pretty good about things and tend to stick around.
Let me touch on that just a little bit. Some of it, when we're out talking to members and contractors, obviously there's an expense incurred by the employer to put somebody through an apprenticeship program. You're taking, as Ty indicated, somebody that's green, has no experience, in some cases putting them in millions of dollars of equipment, and then training them up over that time. There's always the argument from an employer's perspective that as you're training a green employee or somebody that's new, they're not as productive. And so maybe a loss in production with regards to that. But with that said, you mentioned retention tool. I know as we talk to employers, that's one of the concerns that folks may not want to get into apprenticeship is the cost that's incurred and if they don't retain that employee. So maybe a question to Rachel, because you mentioned, Rachel, that you started with one contractor early on in the program and now have switched to a new contractor. And Bob mentioned retention. So maybe talk a little bit about that. Is it a retention tool? Does it help retain an employee? And if not, why not?
So it does. So when I was in Hogan and I was going to the agency, I didn't have somebody at Hogan guiding me and helping me learn. When I switched over to Big D, they know I'm in the apprenticeship program and they're like more willing to sit there and help me. So that was one of the reasons I switched. It's the more guidance from one company from another, and I think it was Hogan, there's more experienced workers, more than I was. So they're like more laid back. They're just jumping the forklift and just, but with Big D, they're just like, here, get your bag, let's go. Here, this is how you do it.
So you felt there was more training opportunity with Big D that you weren't getting in a better apprenticeship interaction that way. Ty, anything you want to add to that at all from a retention perspective? I mean, you say that you've been obviously with your employer now from the beginning to the end. Do you see that as being that investment as the retention tool for you?
I mean, I can see where Rachel's coming from, but we were on different sites too, so I might have had different people show me different ropes than her. We were on the same at one time, but I've been on different with different people. And I can say, yeah, the different people that I've worked with have helped me maybe more than the ones that have helped her, but I don't know if there's any retaining information holding back. I think I apply and they can see what I know and what I don't know, and they can teach me what they think I need to know to be able to be safe and do it right. But I don't know. Everyone has their own experience. It's not just one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Joey, can you talk a little bit about the apprenticeship program, what it consists of, what kind of timeline it consists of, costs, and, you know, do the employers pay that cost, do the students pay that cost? Can you educate us a little bit about that?
Great question. Let me, I'm going to turn a little bit of time over to Lucio Gallegos. He's our AGC Apprenticeship Training Director. He can give you kind of the AGC 101 or the Apprenticeship 101, and then Rachel and Ty, and of course Bob can jump in as well. But maybe again to you, Lucio, really, what does it take to get into an apprenticeship program, the costs involved from an employer's perspective, and so a little bit how ours is run.
Yeah, so we're set up in two realms, I guess, that being the civil side and the building side. On the building side, the employer pays $1.20 per hour for OJT. Now we have 5 programs. Those 5 programs include heavy equipment operator, labor or skilled labor, civil carpenter, building carpenter, and heavy truck driver. So for the employer, for the building employer, they're paying out of their pocket, and that's about $1.20 per OJT hours. And we have a max the payout per year, and that's $1,500. So that's as much as they'll pay for that student or for that apprentice to go through the program. Now the smaller or the shortest program is that heavy truck, which is a 1-year program and about 2,000 hours of OJT. Largest program is the heavy equipment operator, and that's a 6,000 hour OJT and a 3-year related training. So our civil and our building carpenter and our skilled labor are all 4,000 hours, and they 4,000 hours OJT, and they're a 2-year program. So that's the 101, and the cost to the building contractor. For the civil contractor, the cost is I guess and go off with the $10 an hour Davis Bacon wages that are paid through the Department of Transportation. So that's how the cost would be for.
Does that answer the question?
It does, and I'm just curious, so did you, when you were going to AGC for their training facility and learning for your internship, you also working? So were these hours maybe like you were doing at night?
Yeah, so it's 2 days a week. At the beginning, it's Monday and Wednesday from 6 to 9 p.m. And then so it's went to work in the morning, got off at 3:30, was able to go home, eat dinner, and go to school at 6, and so 9.
We have some tired students when they show up at the AGC, that's for sure. They have a hard-working day, and then of course have school at night. So, yeah.
During the apprenticeship, is there any incentive to stay with the company? Or to transition, you get set back at all in your school? Need anything?
No, just moves forward. So with Hogan, I was in there. So every quarter they give you, what would you call it? Evaluation for a raise. Big D, when I transferred to Big D, they didn't say anything about that. They just, so I think it's, if you stay with the company, when you get into the schooling, you're more guaranteed to get that evaluation every quarterly, and then go to different companies. They're not going to look at that.
I would say most of the some employers, not any AGC ones that I'm aware of, will have a graduating scale of pay. Again, as you have a apprentice that starts in the program, it may take 4 years for them to complete on the job training hours, which would then qualify them for that journeyman level, which would be a regular salary employee or hourly paid employee. Most of the employers and all of the employers that I'm aware of through the AGC program, they typically don't start at a lower wage. They pay what the market wage is. The difficulty, as you can imagine, is retaining employees, particularly in a labor market where there's a high demand for the employee themselves. So that was maybe one of the questions that I'll maybe pose to Bob, and of course, Ty and Rachel can answer as well. But, you know, from an employer's perspective, or as an apprentice is going through the program, again, you started at a set wage. What makes you, or what entices you to stay with the program rather than maybe jumping ship, ending your apprenticeship opportunity and going to an employer that doesn't offer that for a higher maybe wage or increase? Bob, any thoughts on that at all?
Well, I think employers in today's market are always at risk of losing their people, especially if they're not able to compete with the market. We don't, to your point, we don't start out our apprentices at a lower wage. We pay what the market pays. We try to identify individuals throughout the year that we feel are driven and want to develop themselves. And those are the ones that we will ask if they'd like to participate in the apprenticeship program. When they leave with this journeyman title, for us, so it would be Carpenter 1 is your bonus, Carpenter 2 is a journeyman, and then Carpenter 3 is more of the master journeyman lead carpenter. So, you know, we've got some folks that are just going to enter the carpenter apprenticeship this December, and as they come out, they'll go from Carpenter 1 to Carpenter 2, which changes their pay band and makes them eligible and likely going to get an increase in pay, and that's their incentive. They get bonuses while they're working in the apprenticeship program. But I think there's a piece of this that maybe these two young folks mentioned, and that is the employer's participation and pulling these individuals aside, telling them that they matter, that they've been identified as high potential folks, that they want them to stick around, and because of that, they're giving them this opportunity. And do some check-ins with them. The folks, the three carpenters that we've identified right now are so excited to go get started, and they're nervous. They really are. They're nervous. How am I gonna, where do I go? What do I do? What does this mean? And so it has taken a few phone calls. I've had to ask Lucio to give them a little more orientation up front, which he's been willing to do, but I think it does make them feel included and valued.
Any additional thoughts or comments there from the
Yeah, I have to agree on that. Like, it does make you feel valued and makes you feel like you're important. They see potential in you. Once it is nerve wracking at first starting the school, but once you go, it's like, that is pretty cool, you know, all the different learning experiences you get to experience and all the people you get to meet. I like it.
Yeah, I have a thought running through my head. Now I just
Hey, you're too young to have those kind of thoughts.
yeah. It had something to do with value.
Well, you'll think of it. We'll come back to it. Okay,
Okay.
all right. Yeah, go ahead.
Bobby talked about bonuses while they're going through their apprenticeship program. Can you talk a little bit about that?
You want to touch on that, Lucio? If I need this.
Yes, for our civil apprentices, they get a bonus per hours incurred. So the first 500 hours, they get a sign-on bonus of $200. Beyond that, every semester they complete, they get additional bonuses of $500 again for each semester. And then at the completion of their program, they get $1,500 bonus.
We do commit to a wage, like a minimum wage. If that individual, say, is a laborer and they're going through the carpenter program, we do commit to a minimum wage of where they'll be when they finish the program.
So the bonuses are, does your company pay for the bonuses, or is that coming out of the agency?
That's coming out of the agency.
So it pretty much pays for itself.
Yeah, it's not expensive at all.
Yeah. So if you had a chance to do the apprenticeship program all over again, would you do it, or would you want to learn on-job training instead?
No, I would do it. I would do it for sure.
You learn a lot more because on jobs you're only going to do so much in that day. It could be repetitive, but at school you talk about everything.
Like you could explore like welding, reading.
Oh yeah, I didn't know how to
plans,
weld, and now I know how to weld coming out of carpenter apprentice.
all kinds of different stuff. So
Concrete, do everything. But I do remember what I was going to say now. Investment. So your company, if they're going to send you to the apprenticeship program, they're looking at you as an investment, which should make you feel valued because they want to put money and effort towards your career and want to see it grow. Investment.
Something that we did a company-wide employee engagement survey in April. And one of the biggest things that was repeated over and over in those responses was they wanted more training on the job, skills training. And yeah, we have our morning meetings, we have our weekly, safety topics and things of that nature, but they are asking for skills training. And so we're having to supplement even the ATC with our own training, but I think it's just a great resource to be able to tap into.
Yeah. Bob, maybe a question for you. For an employer that's looking at maybe starting an apprenticeship program, what should they know? I mean, what are the things that, as you guys were doing it, or as you look at the program, what are the concerns that you have maybe starting it, and then what should they know as they're looking to maybe do their own?
So I think a couple of things that come to mind, time. These, like you mentioned, these folks are going to this class after working a full day. There's maybe some travel time down to West Valley, right? Especially for those of us who live up north here. I know that the folks down in Salt Lake think that the world ends at about Farmington, but it doesn't. And there are a bunch of us up here. And so, just kidding. But so the fact of the matter is that time and the constraints on them. Will they be too tired to work? Cost. How are we going to absorb this cost? Are we going to lose some productivity out of these individuals to begin with? And then also the selection process. How do we pick who we want to send through this? And I don't know that we've necessarily mastered that last one. It seems like we'll send out I'll send out an email to all the superintendents and project managers and say, hey, who would you like to nominate? And I'll get a few responses, and we'll reach out to the individual, say, hey, are you interested? Oh yeah, I'd like to go. And then you have a couple drop out right before you ever get started. and then once we get started, then I'll get some phone calls. Hey, I want to be in the apprenticeship program. Did you tell your superintendent? No. Okay. Take down their name, and then have we still got them the next time the program starts over? So there are some different challenges, but I think that what we've learned in the years that we've participated is the cost, like you said, it pretty well pays for itself, especially at the end when those folks come on site, and every time they pass another module, if you will, they're better at what they do. They're more skilled, they're more efficient, and frankly, they're safer.
Is there a certain retention time that RLW asks employees to have before they go through the apprenticeship?
Oh, no, I think though that two things I guess I would say is we want to pick individuals. Let's say you have this carpenter who's never been through the apprenticeship program but has 12 years as a carpenter. We're not going to send them through. So a newer individual, but we don't necessarily say you got to be here for a year or 2 years before you can go.
Eric, I'll get to you. Maybe that's a question I had. So, Rachel, how long were you employed before you started in the apprenticeship program?
About 3 months.
3 months. Ty, how about it for you?
How long? I was employed for about a year. But that's because I was just making sure that I wanted to do construction. And then once I knew I did, I was like, hey, I'm ready to go to school and learn and build upon it.
Eric, you had a question.
Besides the trade skills, are there other skills being taught during the apprenticeship program? Life skills, safety, stuff like that?
Yep. Safety is big.
Yeah, so safety is a big component of that. We are looking at adding financial skills as part of that. As you can imagine, within the construction industry, for some younger folks, it's a lot of serious money that they're not accustomed to. Like, I'm not speaking for the apprentices here, but for somebody right out of high school to be making $25, $30 an hour, $60,000 a year, maybe some overtime included in that. I have one young man in my neighborhood starting in the electrical industry. He's not even he's in an apprenticeship program. He's been in it a year. He's gonna make $80,000 this year. He's making more than any of my kids. My kids are like, man, Spencer's got all the money. I'm like, well, yeah, he'll be an electrician. So at the end of the day, some of that life or that money management is something that they're not accustomed to. So trying to learn that, and helping them plan for that future as they go through. Very, yeah.
Last question, as you go through that program, do you see your have a difference in confidence? You're now back out even on a weekly basis.
That's a big win for us, is watching them come out of the program. And I think you start to see it about halfway through, where they have a little bit of a swagger to them, which is great. You want to see them be confident and feel like they know what they're doing, feel like that they're adding value. So, yes.
Apprenticeship, I think, is, as you go through, Ty, you just graduated from your apprenticeship program.
Yep.
Do you view, once you're completed the apprenticeship, you're done?
Now,
What's your progression now, or what are your thoughts now, I guess, now that you've completed your apprenticeship program?
so before I was going to the apprenticeship program, I was actually coming to Weber State for construction management. And I was in this class with a lot of more experienced guys, like superintendents and foremen. And I was just a screaming little kid, brand new. And so it was hard. And I was like, these guys know a lot of stuff already, so maybe I need to get some more experience and then come back. That's what I did. I went and got my apprenticeship experience. Now I'm done. Now I feel more confident in this classroom, and I just need to come back and finish my construction management. So, no.
Rachel, any thoughts there? I know you're still working through the process, but what are your plans maybe after?
I would like to become a superintendent. I would say construction. But I know there's a lot.
Question for Ty. So your apprenticeship, does that help towards like your construction management degree, or does that count for
Yes.
anything? It does.
So even though I wasn't technically going to Weber State campus, the AGC is associated with Weber State. So I was getting credit while going to the AGC for Weber State.
Okay.
So I already have a big step that I can step on. I just need to finish it now.
There's a couple credits towards,
So we are actually partnered with Mountain Land Technical College. That's Cliff right there. It's a representative man. But yeah, so students can get our simultaneously registered, not just as AGC apprentices, but MTech students, and that allows us to utilize the UAE pathway for them to be able to get credits towards engineering, architecture, and construction management, and obviously, first one sent to construction management. So, and then Jeremy Barnes,
I say maybe I think on Jeremy just a little bit, maybe to touch on that, Jeremy, and talk about the AAC pathway and what students through apprenticeship programs can achieve as they move forward.
So, like Ty mentioned, they get of their associate's degree taken care of by completing the apprenticeship. So they get 30 credit hours. An associate's degree is 63 credits. So 30 of those 63 are completed by the apprenticeship. And then they need to take a few more classes in general education and
That boring stuff, all that boring.
yeah, I know the boring stuff. The cool things are that they get to take is some job site management, So it kind of helps them take that next step. How do I become a lead? How do I become a superintendent? And gets them further down that pathway.
There's another question. Yes.
So I work at a high school. Do you have anything that high school students can do as a youth apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship to lead them into?
You pay these people off, Lucille.
Here's our pitch, I guess. So we're working with high schools in order to implement a pre-apprenticeship where they could stack sort of internships into a pre-apprenticeship, and then from there take it into the apprenticeship program, and those credits would just stack on, ultimately leading them to a construction management degree.
Like to dovetail into that. For those of us employers, we know that the hiring or candidate pool has become more like a mud puddle. And a lot of that has to do with just the economy and some other factors. But I think what we've seen is there's the boomers are leaving, right? They're retiring, or maybe they're going to wait another couple of years until their 401ks come back. But they're retiring, and they're leaving at a pace that we're not replacing. And the construction exodus is exacerbated by that, because there are fewer and fewer young folks coming into the construction industry. And so with this outreach, our hope as employers should be that moms and dads and kids can realize what Joey said, that, you know, my son or daughter can enter this skilled trade and be making a really nice living in a hurry, and not end up with $120,000 in student debt. You know, I've got my son-in-law going through it, so I think that we have got to change the narrative at the high school and even the junior high level, that this is a great way to make a living, a great way to support yourself and your family. And the only way we can do it is by opening the window and letting them see.
Maybe just to touch on a little bit, and I'll get on the soapbox about construction and the opportunities it provides folks. So again, as you go through apprenticeship program, I think is just, again, that entry into the construction world. But the opportunities within construction, as you can imagine, are endless. You have 40 of the largest builders here in the state of Utah. Top builder does about $4 billion annually, working in about 23 states nationwide. The 4 top building contractors, all of them are over that $1 billion mark. Countless folks. Oh yeah, sorry, HR directors. He hires all those folks. But within those companies, they have a whole plethora of every type of job that you can imagine that you go to college for, and you come up through the trades for. As technology changes, that also is giving additional opportunities for those that are in programming or in more of, I would say, the tech industry. There's one local contractor here. I was surprised there. They have 30 full-time drone pilots that work on their staff. And so the virtual reality portion of it is taking construction to a whole nother arena with regards to building information modeling, where you as a project, let's say as an owner of this facility or building, you can put on a set of VR glasses and go through and see the construction before it's even built. And say, God, you know, as I'm looking at it, I want a receptacle here. This receptacle here, I don't want that there, I want it here. And they're making those changes in a virtual world before it's even constructed. So again, that opportunity within the construction arena is just fascinating and amazing in my mind.
Well, that building information model takes it into the facility side. After it's done, they know now where all the pipes are and all the valves are from the technology prior to building done after. But the process. Yeah, the architectural side that is at the front end, that the contractors do it back at how it's actually how it's fits.
And to that point, again, BIM is a fascinating world, but as they're building the downtown Hyatt Hotel for the new convention center, I was able to see that in the BIM model. They can tell you that the electrical's coming through this way and the plumbing's coming in this direction, and there's going to be a conflict. And so they're solving that in a virtual world rather than trying to figure it out on the job site when they say, how we got a problem. We got a gas line here and an electrical line there. How are we going to fix that? And it's like, well, it's split now. But anyways, some great opportunities that way.
Estimating, engineering, the BIM modeling, all that stuff that's not out there with a hammer and saw, right?
So all of you parents in here, tell your kids to go in construction. Yeah.
So, AGC has a couple different apprenticeships programs, carpentry. Is there, outside of maybe what AGC offers, I don't know if you said there was a concrete, but also like steel erection or construction steel. There are other apprenticeships that already developed in the state.
Yeah, so there's a number of groups, and maybe I'll share this thought and then answer that question. So again, as an employer, is that you're looking at opportunities to build apprenticeship programs within your own, I'd say, area of expertise. I would suggest that you look towards organizations that can help assist you with that. So, and what I mean by that is, as an organization, again, we represent 650 member companies. And as an organization that has apprenticeship programs for our employers, the employee or the employer does not have to create their own apprenticeship program. We've got the processes in place. We have the staff. We have the reporting process. We have the Department of Labor approval, if you will. And so we do all of the management of the apprenticeship program for the employer. The employer gives us the feedback as to what the curriculum should look like. We have steering committees that help assist with that as far as the pricing and all of that kind of fun stuff to make sure that we're getting the right instructors in. We're bringing folks from industry as our instructors in the classroom so that the apprentices are getting the latest and greatest technology and information from those that are actually working in the field currently. And so I would suggest, if you're part of a union, a part of a trade organization, again, maybe lean on those folks to help assist you. That way you're not spinning your wheels as an individual trying to figure it out yourself. I'll use one example of that. We have, again, a large general contractor was not using our program. They have their own internal, I'd say, kind of apprenticeship program. I didn't even call it apprenticeship program, but their own training mechanism which they were using. They were getting poor quality. The cost to employ the folks and manage it, they came to us after about 3 years of trying to make this go on their own. They were spending annually on that program, they estimated about $350,000 a year to basically educate and train about 20 employees. And they just said, man, it's a colossal waste of money. And then came to the AGC and says, man, you know, at our association, we got 9 full-time staff. We got Lucio's dedicated to the apprenticeship side of it. We got a whole team of folks to do it that way. So again, back to answer your question, AGC, we have, again, 5 within the commercial construction arena, but there's other groups out there. You have the Utah Glass and Glazing Association. They're dealing with glass structures. They're helping on that end. You have the Brick Masons group. Again, they're an association organization. So brick construction projects, they handle that side. The Glass and Glazing Association uses our facility for all of their training. You have many of the union trades with the electricians, plumbing, heating, and electrical, all your plumbing trades, those types of folks have, again, organizations that are working with. So whether you're in tech or hospitality or, let's say, manufacturing or even hospitals, I would look to those organizations. If they're not doing it, come together as a more collective group and then run it through that initiative, in my opinion. Yeah, question here.
Where do you get your funding from?
We are a not-for-profit trade organization. We're funded by our member dues. So members of our organization pay to be members of our association. But the largest portion of our training or our funding, I should say, come through training. I'm not talking apprenticeship training. I'm talking about industry training. So As a licensed contractor, I'll give you an example. As a licensed contractor in the state of Utah, in order to maintain your contractor's license, you have to have 6 hours of continuing education every 2 years. Now, they complain about that all the time, and I always laugh. So I'm thinking, well, if you're an attorney, a CPA, or whatever, you have to have 30 hours. So they always complain about the 6. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know what to tell you. Go to the state legislature. But you have about 28,000 licensed contractors here in the state of Utah. Of those 28,000, we'll train about 10,000 individual companies over that license renewal cycle period. Pre-licensure for new contractors coming in. We do safety training. We do project management training, estimating. So again, beyond apprenticeship, we got a whole library of other trainings that we're doing for folks outside of the apprenticeship. So that's a large portion of that funding as an organization. Membership dues are a large funding source for that. Grants is part of that as well. But there's a lot of various income sources that we use to assist on the apprenticeship side for sure. Good question. Any other questions real quick? Maybe to Ty and of course Rachel. So again, you have employers here in the room that are thinking about apprenticeship programs. What would you tell them if you were to, again, let's say you were working for an employer, didn't have an apprenticeship program, and knowing what you know now, what would you tell an employer about maybe starting one or why they should?
It's gonna help. It's gonna, like I said, investment. You're gonna get more better people and more better people. It's gonna help more better production. And I know why you're here. He's here for this. He's trying to get an apprenticeship going for his company, and I think it's a good idea. So, yeah.
Rachel,
Well,
anything you'd add to that?
I would tell an employer if you want to save time and trying to train your employees, just send them off to schooling. There's grants out there that will pay for their schooling. Company pays for half. I got a grant to pay my half. Like, it's an awesome learning experience, and you get multiple things you learn about. It's not just one focus on one thing, you know. So it's worth it for me.
Maybe Bob, a question to you. So as an organization, and it was brought up in this, we are looking at what we call pre-apprenticeship opportunities. Anything that you as an employer are looking at outside of apprenticeship to maybe build that apprenticeship pool, maybe a apprenticeship program? What are some thoughts you have along those lines? What do you guys?
So I'd say when we first learned about the pre-apprenticeship program, trying to get up and on speed, we're very interested in it. Intrigued, I guess, is a good word. Considering how we're going to incorporate these apprentices into our business because of our civil work, we don't want to put them out. We can't put them out on a highway before they're age 18. But there are other places where we could use them. We do some commercial work, do some parking structure stuff that even in some civil work that we're not really going to be out on some, next to traffic. So we're excited to see how that'll play out. I'm on a couple of different committees that I think are being steered by the ATC that we're going to get in front of these high school students and get in and share with them what the construction industry has to offer.
Yes.
Are there any apprenticeships that utilize multiple businesses?
Any apprenticeships that use multiple business? Sorry.
Like they would go to Big D to learn one thing and then be in someplace else just to
Oh, got it. No, our program's not set up under that kind of a model where, if I understand the question right, can an apprentice go from one employer to the next employer to learn one aspect of a construction project piece here, let's say on the civil side, which is highways and roads, can they learn a piece here and then go to Hogan Construction to learn maybe a building aspect? And under our program, our model is not set up that way.
It reminds me more of an internship than a paid internship where they could go spend 3 or 4 months at a place. And we do hire apprentices that do just that. They come work for us and then they go somewhere where it's still construction, but a different business model.
The way our program's set up is all of the apprentices within the AGC program are employees of the employer. So they are not ran through the association or come through the association. We may have folks that come in and express an interest in apprenticeship or looking maybe for a job opportunity. What we would do under that scenario is get an understanding of what they're looking for and then refer them to one of our employers that would hire for that case. But they're not employees of the association, but managed and employees of the employer. We provide the education in the seat training. The employer provides the on-the-job training aspect.
So I would say that's something good about the apprenticeship program, because if they're wanting to learn certain things about different things, like they want to learn how to do this, not electrical, but say building stairs, okay? The apprenticeship teach you how to do that. Or if you want to go and another thing we learned about welding. You know, it's all different types of things you learn about. It's not just one basic thing. So
Yeah, you learn about site layout, surveying. There was so much to learn about, I can't even tell you. It's been a while. But it all helps out on the job site, for sure.
I walked in late, so my question may have already been answered. I apologize. But so, how many employers do you have? And if an organization would like to jump on board and become an employer to receive these apprentices, what's that process like?
Lucy, you want to answer that? How many employers we have within the group? How many apprentices? And then if an employer wants to get involved, how to get involved?
So to get have to become a member of our organization in order for you to be able to use the program. Like Joey mentioned a little bit earlier, for apprentices, they have to be hired through an employer to be in this program. That allows them to set up a way of getting sponsored with the program. Now, for employers to get people out of the program, there's not, since they're already hired in order for them to come into the program, there's not a pool. That would be more of a pre-apprenticeship that we're working on in order for them to get people into the apprenticeship program. Something that I want to mention that Bob mentioned a lot earlier is that a lot of us look at apprenticeships as a recruiting tool, and they're not a recruiting tool, they're a retention tool. Pre-apprenticeship is the recruiting tool. That's how you get you and employees into the programs, and that's why they're so important. And that's what we're doing.
I would say not just a retention tool for your business, a retention for the construction industry. A pathway for them to grow and develop. It's shocking to me to learn how many individuals who are working in the labor and craft jobs don't see a path for growth. And it's right there, right in front of them, but they're so busy working 50 hours a week, whatever they're working, they don't necessarily see this path. But when they do go through an apprenticeship, there's that time spent that I'm learning about. There's more to this than sweeping up after the concrete masons, right? There's more to this business, and so I think when you say retention, we have to remember that it's retention for the industry.
So Bob, how do you, being in HR, how do you educate those employees about their path? What are some of your tricks?
I think the biggest trick is to get their supervisors to do that. They have to be, was that, I got away.
They just said, you still
have 30 minutes.
So, if their supervisor to whom they look for direction on a daily basis is telling them, hey, do this, this, and this, and look at, you know, I started out where you were. Now I'm the superintendent and make way more money than I did when I was doing what you're doing. And I've earned it, and here are the steps that I've taken. I think they see more of a pathway, but if it's just coming from the HR dude and the ivory tower, it doesn't mean nearly as much as it does from their foreman and their superintendent.
You know, one of my favorite stories, and I can't share it if he was here, but Wadworth Construction, one of the prominent building contractors here in the state of Utah, Dave Hogan is the president of Wadworth Construction. If you had an opportunity to sit down with Dave Hogan and ask him his path to president of a large contracting company, he'll tell you he started in the field as a framer, and he worked his way up from the bottom all the way to the top. And it's a great success story for him, but I'd say that's one of the exciting opportunities within construction is probably with any career path. If you're motivated and you have a desire to learn and to grow and advance, again, that opportunity is certainly there for sure. I will say one of maybe the challenge for construction, and Bob alluded to it a little bit, that we're working on a legislative solution or potential or legislative solution to the problem, is within construction, the difficulty in finding that, I would say, junior and senior high school student looking for an opportunity to work construction during the summer is the insurance risk. Many of the insurance companies will not provide the workers' comp coverage for that individual because of the age, inexperience, and those types of things. There has been some success from some of our contracting companies that show that this is an apprenticeship program, show that value to their insurance providers, and are able to get that insurance coverage for those individuals. And we're trying to crack that nut a little bit and see if there's an opportunity to get a state-funded workers' comp coverage for youth looking at apprenticeship opportunities during, I'd say, a summer, if you will. Again, a great opportunity. Many of the students that work in 3-month summer, they'll make $5,000 for 3 months. So, great opportunity for them.
I'm with Hughes General Contractors, and we have this program, which is an apprenticeship program that comes out of it. In fact, we have somebody here today who her son just went through the program, and they rave about it. And he got a taste this year. This was his first year, and he got a taste on a job site of what his future holds. Because just like Ty, he was like, wasn't sure, what do I want to do after high school? He's a senior now in high school, and he got a taste of what he really wants to do.
Yeah.
That goodness, that's fun.
I say, Hughes has done a great job of being able to do that, and I think many of our members can learn from that same model, for sure. Yeah.
Do you have any programs for kids who haven't graduated high school? I think with COVID and going online, and that just, it really, there are a lot of really smart kids just and prohibited to do it.
Great
You
job.
don't have to have a high school diploma for the ATC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's no, for our program, now I can't speak for all, but for our program, there's no high school diploma requirement to get into the program.
So you provide college credit, but you provide high school credit?
We've not looked at that or been asked that.
Yeah, we're looking into that. That would be awesome. Yeah. But we're still working. We're trying to take one thing at a time. Right now, we're trying to develop that pre-apprenticeship program that will be, hopefully allow these students to have that opportunity to, while they're in high school, to experience the industry.
It's called the School of Hard Knocks Diploma.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what is the advancement method for these students through the program? Is it just hours? Is it testing and skills related? You gotta demonstrate that you can do certain things.
Yeah, so it's both. So it's competency and the written test, which is competency, right? But you have your application and then your knowledge test. So it's both.
One thing that you'll want to look at, there's again a couple of ways that you can do an apprenticeship program. I would strongly encourage going through, if you want an accredited program that a graduated apprentice will be recognized nationwide, go through a Department of Labor apprenticeship program. Pat Miller, if you've not met Pat Miller, she'll be downstairs. She is the apprenticeship Department of Labor representative here in the city of Utah. Works for the federal government through the Department of Labor, but she approves all apprenticeship programs through the state of Utah that are DOL approved. One reason why that's important for our organization is you receive federal funding for any highway projects, or in some cases building projects. There's always a mandated or required apprenticeship goal tied to that federal funding. And so if you're doing a highway project that has received federal funding, they may have a hours requirement that you need to have 5,000 apprenticeship hours tied to that specific project. And so it becomes now the onus of the employer to meet that hours requirement or goal. And the only way you can achieve that is having an apprentice that's approved through the Department of Labor. And so it kind of has that dual component there. And then however you craft those standards that are then approved by the Department of Labor, our program is, as Lucio indicated, a competency based. So if you have an individual that you're bringing into your apprenticeship program and maybe lacking skills in one area, but has expertise in another area, you can comp out of some of those hours or some of that training. Our program allows that latitude because it's in the standards that we crafted, 50 years ago. But so again, you want to just be careful how you kind of craft that. Pat certainly can help through that process as well on the Department later. Any other questions at all? Maybe, let's see, yeah, geez, we got a lot more time. I should say a lot, a few. Yes, go ahead.
So as far as the apprenticeship costs, putting a student through that seems like a relatively minor investment as far as cost goes. So you said you have to be an ADC member to use your program. What does it take to be an ADC member?
Great question. It's relatively simple. So if you're a subcontractor, you think of your subcontracting trades, whether that's electrician, plumbing, heating, or whatever. We have a flat dues rate for an AGC. Somebody wanting to be a part of the AGC of $770 a year is the dues for subcontractors. A general contractor pays on their annual volume. A minimum dues for a general contractor would be about $1,000. The max dues for a contractor doing 75 million or more annually is 14,000. So it's a sliding scale in between there, but that's kind of the due structure for an AGC membership. But again, a very minimal investment really with regards to what you're getting through the apprenticeship program setup.
One thing with the AGC membership too is they mentioned earlier that there are a bunch of different training classes or courses, and we've attended, people in our company have attended hundreds and hundreds of those throughout the years, and they're either free or at a really discounted rate. In my career, I've gone to the Employers Council for training and different places for safety training, and these classes are as good and way cheaper based off of being a member of the AGC. And they're not the only apprenticeship program in the state, but one that we've got, definitely are getting our money's worth out of it. Not to mention, you get to go to activities.
That's right.
Right? We'll shoot ski or ride an ATV.
Play golf.
No.
Do you know of opportunities for high school students where we can bring them in to shadow an industry or one company during the day and see all of the different employment opportunities that that organization has, like HR or accounting, and learn about construction itself? Do you have opportunities like that?
I would say yes. One thing that's great about being part of an organization that has a great membership is as educators or employers or whatever, if you need any assistance or help or have an idea or thought that you think, you know what, I would like to have maybe an opportunity to go visit a construction company, reach out to us. We can facilitate that help. I'm confident if you had a few folks who's thinking, Kyle, I'd like to know how bridges are constructed, I can call Bob and say, Bob, we got some hot ones here. We got some great folks wanting to come out and do this or visit a project. I'm sure we can make that. Bob would be willing to help facilitate that.
Hey, Joe, we have a clarification. This gentleman's asking, are they saying ABC? So
AGC, sorry, AGC.
That's what I just wanted to clarify.
Well, I'll answer that. So there's another organization that we work with. It's called ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors. So maybe that's where the confusion was. So they are a strictly non-union representing group for open shop merit contracting. We represent both industries. We don't. Let's see.
Hey, thank you for that clarification. It was just coming across as different things every time you said it on my closed captioning, and I couldn't quite understand. So I wanted that clarification. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. No problem. You should have got a better moderator. Articulate better. Maybe another just follow-up question, maybe, or another follow-up question. So, as far as maybe going to you, Bob. So, from an employer's perspective, was there a problem that you feel got solved through an apprenticeship program? And if so, what would that be?
I think solving, in the process of solving it. I mentioned earlier that, about the candidate pool kind of drying up. What we do know is that there still are young people that are making the conscious decision to enter the construction field. And so they're green. I want to be careful how I say this and not be too generalized, but many of the young folks today did not grow up the way that my generation did. They don't build anything. They learned how to do everything with their thumbs. And they arrive though, and they say, look, I want to give this a shot. I want to build something. I want to get dirty. And so we're taking this green talent and being able to upskill our current workforce. Take them and put them in there's a labor apprenticeship too, and we put many through the labor apprenticeship, and they learn how to read a tape and use power tools and safety. And so we're solving that piece because we are having to hire individuals that have little to no experience, and we want them to be productive, and we want them to be safe. We want them to enjoy themselves and progress through. So I think that's the problem that we're in the process of solving through the apprenticeship program.
I'm going to speak a little bit for my organization. We stay in the Utah Glass Association apprenticeship program. What we're doing in solving for it, building a base of new leadership. The individuals who are committing themselves, like these folks up here, to learning a trade and progressing and growing our next group of leaders who are going to run our organization long after time now. So that's where our investment is and what our growth strategy is relative to putting people through the apprenticeship program, is allowing them to become the next leaders.
Maybe Rachel, Ty, so as you're talking to coworkers or even peers, whether friends or family or whatever, and they're asking you about apprenticeship, what do you tell them about your apprenticeship experience, or maybe how are you convincing others to go into it?
I've actually convinced a couple other, coworkers to come with me. And,
Who do you think convinced Rachel? So all of everyone that falls under her falls under you. Here.
yeah, I was curious about the whole thing because I was good at construction. And so I just was telling everybody, hey, most number one thing was, and I know it's really important right now for money to survive out there. I know going through the program now, like I've learned a lot. My confidence out in the field is up there, and so and so.
The other, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I guess I have a question for you, Rachel. So you started with Hogan and then went with Big D. So you started your apprenticeship with Hogan. So in between that transition, do your classes stop until you can get sponsored by somebody like Big D, or how do you?
No, so Big D and Hogan are both associated with the AGC program.
Okay.
So one of my classmates was employed by Big D. He's one that referred me by Big D. So like that was the only reason I went with that company, because I knew it was already associated with the schooling. Otherwise, I wouldn't have left.
Right. So it's just a smooth transition. I guess I was just wondering because you mentioned like your employer sponsors you to the AGC, but if you switch employers, it's just continue on even if there's a break, one or the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say that's part of the value, I think, with going with a organizational model rather than an individual employer model. If Rachel, for whatever reason, chose to go with another contractor outside of the AGC, I'd say family apprenticeship participants, we would do our best effort to, again, locate the apprentice, because we want to see apprentices go from start to finish, graduate, complete. That's the main objective and a goal as an organization. So we would again try to encourage that employer to participate if they're not, or not a member or whatever else. But as Rachel indicated, again, if the apprenticeship program is important to the apprentice that's in the program, again, her decision to go to the next employer tied back to, are they involved with the apprenticeship program? Are they going to help see me through to the completion side of it, which I think is an element of the program.
So were you paying your own tuition, I guess you could say, from Hogan to Big D, or was Hogan paying?
So Hogan paid for half, and then I got a grant from Workforce Services to pay my half. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and I just wanted to add with what you were saying earlier about the skills that you've learned in the apprenticeship program. You could probably build your own house and look at how much money you save doing that, right?
That's my plan.
Yeah.
I want to build my own house.
Yeah, so it's not just, the apprenticeship. Yes, the apprenticeship is going to benefit both of these young people in the future, but they've got skills now that they're taking into their life.
True. Before I came over to the association world, I worked in electrical sales for a large electrical distributor. Learned the electrical trade, not, I'd say, professionally. I can burn down my own house, just put it that way. But at the end of the day, I've never had to hire an electrician. As you know, those folks demand a high wage just to come out and visit. Now, my garage door came off the cables last night. I tried to do my best to fix that problem, can't, so I'm be paying somebody probably a hefty price to come fix that. But great trades and to learn for sure. Any other questions at all? Yeah.
I'm just excited to see Rachel with the goal to be a superintendent, because other little girls are going to see that. They're going to say, I can do that. And it'll just get more lean and skills.
I say as an industry, that's one area we're focusing on, trying to attract, of course, have more diversity and inclusion for sure. Yeah, so we're grateful to have Rachel as one of our champions for sure.
I heard that 30% of the industry is now women. Is that an accurate statement?
Jeremy, I may have an answer there.
I don't know what it is currently, but 40% of our students, so right now we have 1,200 students in high school taking classes. They're coming up through this. They're tied 4 years ago. And 40% of them are women.
So I'm working at the airport right now, doing that building it, and there is a female in every trade. Electrician, a sheetrocker, a steel erector, there's a lot more.
Program managers.
It's growing. I don't know if 30% is accurate, but it's growing. Thank goodness.
I think the current number is 90% are still, just under 90% are still white.
Not in our
In
business.
apprenticeships, for sure, that's the way that it is. But I have hope with what Jeremy says in, there's that many that are enrolling. So they're enrollers and they're going to be. But the other thing, if you haven't seen, I would take a look at the house that she built. It's done by the professional women in building, and every single person either working on the project or providing services for the project were either women or women-owned businesses. And they even produced a book that talks about that. And yesterday, I saw my first apprenticeship book developed by the Idaho Department of Labor, and it's geared towards elementary school kids and going into STEM education, but through an apprenticeship program. That was pretty cool.
Geez, that house sounds like an oversized she shed.
Joey, to follow up on that, we are currently recruiting for a summer camp, girls construction camp. And I think we're gonna have to do 2 of them because 40 is not enough. We're probably gonna have to do 2 40-person construction camps. All put on by females. It's awesome.
So to answer, like for up north, so I teach at Ogden Weber Technical College, and in the electrical program, we have our numbers aren't very like as high as what you guys are stating. We have 4 females within the program at different stages. So out of 100 or out of 200 students, we only have 4. So it's a little different up here, I guess. But down there, it sounds like it's going really good, and I hope it pulls this way too.
Well, according to Bob, the world ends at Farmington, so yeah.
It's okay though. We'd like to keep our little secret.
It's not coming.
Yes.
Any last questions for our panel? Yes.
This is not a question, this is just a comment. Mostly of you businesses that are here, if you want to get in front of high school students, bring me your business card, because I'm going to do a job fair for seniors. Just have jobs that they can enter right after they graduate or don't graduate. So that will be in April. So bring me a business card after.
One last comment I'll share is if you've not worked with the DWS team, they are a great resource in a lot of ways. As Rachel indicated, where her employer had them have some buy-in with the apprenticeship program, and DWS was there to assist in helping with that tuition cost. They have those programs available. The tuition costs, in some cases, the PPE equipment that are required to work on the construction projects can be reimbursed programs. Melissa is a terrific resource for starting apprenticeship programs, connecting you with the right people to get that engaged and involved. So if you're not working with the DWS team and assisting you in these types of programs, reach out to them. They'd be glad to hear from you. But with that, let's give our panel a round of applause. Good job. Let's see, Rachel and Ty will be here all day, and signing autographs and everything. So.
It might look like chicken scratch. I'm not left-handed.
All right, I want to thank Joey for moderating today's discussion, and And the biggest takeaway is for you as a company to consider in this tight labor market. And what's interesting is we're moving into a recession. Probably already heard that. And the thing that's going to be different is we don't know what this recession is going to look like because of the pandemic, the labor shortage that's transpiring. But just to keep in mind, it's great to develop your own talent. And as Joey mentioned, I'm with the Department of Workforce Services, and we're really underutilized. We're just not here to make your life complicated and have you pay your unemployment contribution. We really want to help you develop the workforce. And so I did reference at the beginning, I'm just going to do it again real quickly. There is the map of the state of Utah. If you take this, you can find out where you live, where you reside, contact your local WPS. We have money that is administered through Workforce Services from the Department of Labor. And so we can pay 50% of the wage for a period of time. If it's a youth, what we call it a youth job seeker, we can reimburse 100% of their wage for 13 months. And so we partner with our technical colleges to help provide some of that training. This sounds better than it is, I'm just going to be honest. But, we can work together because there's certain qualifications that your workforce has to meet. One thing for us to pay, just call us if you want to interview someone you think they could be eligible for one of our programs. Just call me, call one of your workforce development specialists before you hire them. Because once you hire them, we're not able to do that reimbursement. We just get the paperwork set up where you hire. I just want to put that plug in. And, we're here to work together to build a quality workforce in Utah. And thank you for attending today. There's a 15-minute little expo downstairs. I encourage you to go down in the foyer, check out the booths, make phone calls, do whatever you have to do, and then back to the big room for keynote speakers. Thank you so much.